Welcome to the latest video in our series covering all things agency life. We're actually filming this one from our new office. More on that and some other exciting updates later. But today we're going to start talking about when you should start to think about leaving your current agency. Jamie, before someone should even consider making a switch, are there any key things they should think about first?
Yeah, I guess one thing I'd always have in the back of your mind is what terms you're on with your agency. So this is something you should have even before you sign your initial contract with them. So is it 30-day rolling term, 6-month fixed term? Do you have break clauses in there? Look, this is something you should have a really good grasp on. And ultimately, there's no point looking to leave your agency if you're tied in for another 18 months. So something you should always be aware of.
From our experience, there's a huge range in agency contract terms. Would you say there's a particular point in the relationship when a client should start thinking about making a change?
Again, something I'd be constantly aware of. One thing I would say is the first couple of months I'd be really keeping a keen eye on what they're doing. Is everything that the salesperson or the BDM or the commercial director that they told you during the pitch stage, is that what they're actually delivering? The people you said would be working on the project, is it actually those people? So look, I'll give a little bit of leeway here. Don't look to jump ship too fast. Vetting an agency takes a long time, but always have a keen eye on what they're doing.
Okay, I think it's fair to say most agencies and most agency-client relationships deserve a little bit of leeway early on, but at the same time, proper vetting does take time. It's something you need to keep an eye on constantly.
Yeah, completely. Look, and it's worth saying as well, leaving an agency doesn't always have to be for bad reasons. It might well be that either you've evolved or they've evolved, you've kind of outgrown each other, and this happens a lot of the time. So it can be a really exciting point in your journey.
Exactly. So every agency's got the sweet spot, whether it's size, sector or specialism. So if you reach a stage where you're no longer aligned, there's no shame in shaking hands and going your separate ways.
Yeah. Look, it happens. We get it. Clients come and go. The main thing is always to do it the right way. We have plenty of clients who've left and come back around. We call them boomerangs.
Yeah. Most of the time when people get in touch with us, they're already moving from another agency. What would you say is the number one reason why people are looking to make that switch?
Well, probably every single call I've sat on this year, of which there's already been many, is about proactivity. They're constantly saying that we're the ones having to drive the conversation of our agency. We're the ones getting in touch. It's pretty rare that it seems that agencies are actually bringing really good, new, fresh ideas to the table. Look, I think it's easier said than done. A lot of agencies are out there selling on it, saying they're really proactive. It's quite tricky to do. I would say though, if you're the one constantly chasing, if you're the one constantly pushing for meetings, it's a bit of a worry. As well, if anything's going wrong and they're not actually noticing that before you've highlighted it, it's probably a bit of a red flag. Definitely keep on top of it. What do you say comes up most?
Definitely poor communication. We often see it from the brand side. They stop responding as quickly or things start to drag. But to be honest, more often than not, it's the agency side going quiet. We've heard of clients going months without hearing from their agency, and obviously that's never a good sign when you're working on a project or an ongoing campaign.
Yeah, particularly the campaign work. Look, if you're not having regular meetings with your agency, that is a big red flag, because how are you going to monitor performance if you can't see that? What I would say, in the same vein, when I mentioned about terms then before, you should know what their SLAs are, what's their expected response time to an urgent query, how many regular meetings are you actually penciled in for, is that quoted within your original proposal? Always have a good grasp on that.
Yeah, like we said in previous videos, we're in a service-based industry and ultimately it's all about people. So should you start to think about moving on when your points of contact changes once or even twice or more?
It's tricky. Like you said, look, it's a service-based industry. A lot of the time it's people physically, delivering these regular meetings, and I would say try and give leeway when you can. Sometimes it is out of an agency's control, but we get it. It can be really frustrating because you spend a lot of time getting to know one person, then you get made pass to another. Another point as well is you might be sold the dream during the sales phase, which is going to be appointed these senior execs, and then the next thing you know, you assign frankly, an apprentice, which can be really tricky, quite unfortunate. I guess on the flip side, actually, you may build up a really good relationship with the person that you've dealt with. They then may move on to a new agency. So if you've built that good relationship, potentially go with them as well.
It's a bit like speed dating without any of the fun.
Somewhat.
Yeah. What about performance? How important is it that the relationship between agency and brand continues and there's strong performance and the agency's constantly reporting back to you?
Well, it's critical. I mean, you're not paying them for no reason. You're actually you're paying them to deliver you results. So, if it's a marketing retainer, for example, are they actually showing you the right metrics that actually make a difference to your business? Is it ROAS? Is it CPC? Is it lead volume? If it's a website retainer, are they delivering good service within a reasonable amount of time? Look, either way, look, if these goals aren't being met, your business might suffer, and your bottom line, effectively. Even worse, some agencies don't even go to that extent where they're actually reporting on what's going wrong. They may just not report on anything at all. So if you're having to chase up a report each month or even each quarter, that is a huge red flag. What we do find is, another common gripe with with brands is that agencies just aren't transparent.
Okay. Could a relationship simply just go stale, possibly for no apparent reason?
Are you talking about my personal life or business?
That's another video altogether.
it could be one of the two. So, look, I guess one sort of analogy I'd use is, say you buy a car and it's a Yaris, and at the time it's super high tech, it's got cruise control, you're like, it might even have electric windows. A few years later, your Yaris isn't looking all too good, you've scraped it, you bumped it a couple of times, and you see a Tesla on the road, you see people watching Netflix, and you're like, right, this is the nice new cool thing. Now, with agencies, new tech doesn't always mean great, but it might mean they're innovating. So look, that is definitely one thing I'd say is, sometimes an agency can only take you so far, their processes, their technology might become slightly outdated, and that again might be another time to evaluate the relationship, see what else is out there.
Okay, so sometimes there might not always be a negative reason when somebody wants to make a switch. So what would some of the more possible positive reasons be why somebody might want to change despite the relationship seemingly going okay, the project's gone okay?
Yeah, like I alluded to before, your business might be going through a phase of big growth, and you might actually have more budget to invest into wider channels which maybe that agency can't fulfill. You might just be dealing with bigger budgets. So, for example, paid media, an agency may only be used to budgets of £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 a month, and you might be looking to 3-4x that. And that's a very different proposition. So that might be a point where you have a frank conversation with agency and you shake hands to go elsewhere. But maybe at the same time they can go with you on that journey.
Okay. Is there anything brands can do to make that transition as smooth as possible?
Well, I guess I'm on the agency side here, so I've got some bias, but I always say, the more open you can be with them, the better. If it's like you're having some slight niggles, they might be able to solve them before you have to go elsewhere, which might save you a lot of time and hassle. But ultimately, I think most reputable agencies will do things in the right way. They may just try and make your life as easy as possible. If that's sending across website files, for example, or if that's providing access to the new agency as fast as possible. In our experience, most agencies are pretty good at that.
Yeah. So to wrap things up, switching agencies, it's not always about drama. Sometimes it's simply about outgrowing a setup. You might want fresh ideas, or simply realising things aren't quite working as well as they were in the beginning.
Yeah, look, I trust your gut. If things feel stale, if you feel you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting, if you've hit a ceiling, it just might be time to explore options. We don't suggest bouncing from agency to agency. It's generally a red flag from our side. But sometimes there frankly is just a better option out there for you. Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks for watching. If anybody's got any questions or horror stories of your own, simply drop them in the comments. But if any of these issues do sound familiar and you'd like a confidential chat, get in touch as well.